Hey, it's the Midnight Raven, and today we are going for a trip down nostalgia or memory lane. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am the Midnight Raven. Today we're going to be looking at another trip down memory lane, and today we are looking at everything that you may or may not have had that was in fashion or things you should have known about. So fashion trends come and go and things come and go, and throughout the years even had stuff that has come back into fashion or things that have made a comeback. Things will always go in and out of popularity, and then a few years later it may come back because it's had a revamp, it's changed. So looking at this first item, we have the jelly shoe. In the summer, your feet would sweat buckets. In the winter, your feet would get cold. They were sparkly. They even had a heel. I mean, these jelly shoes were every kid's dream to have them. If you were going out and you didn't have a sparkly pair of jelly shoes, I mean, were you even fashionable? I never had jelly shoes. I found them so uncomfortable to wear. My sisters would wear these, but for me they were just uncomfortable. Another trip down memory lane is Noel's house party with Mr. Blobby. So this is Noel Edmonds, this is Mr. Blobby. Mr. Blobby was a staple of Noel Edmonds' house party. He was the mascot for the show, but he was a legend in his own right. Even today, you could get people dressing up as Mr. Blobby for fun. He would be brought into situations where he'd destroy stuff, he'd smash the place up. Then Noel would give him a telling off and he'd go, Blobby, Blobby, Blobby. And it was hours of fun watching him just destroy stuff. And he'd appear on Saturday morning TV and. Next we have the one, the only, the Sony Discman. Oh my God, do you remember trying to fit these in your pockets or put it in your bag with your headphones? And nowadays you just have an iPod or you use your phone, and the batteries would drain so quickly on a Sony Walkman. It would take batteries. You'd lift up this and there'd be a battery space in here, or it'd be underneath. You'd then have a button that you press to stop it skipping, because the discs would always skip. I don't know if I still have my Sony Discman. There was also a Sony Walkman, which is where you put tapes in it if you really want to go back. Oh my God, do you remember this? I think this was called, was it called Going Outside? And this was Pippin the dog. Unfortunately, she has passed away. I think it was called Going Outside. Honestly, can't remember. But she had her own aeroplane, because, of course, she did. And they'd jump in the aeroplane and they'd jet off to places, and Pippin would go with her. But she died, I think it was a few years ago, unfortunately. But it was a great little TV series, if you don't remember that. I think it was called Going Outside. Candy sticks. Now, these were liked and frowned upon because apparently it encouraged smoking. Now, you could get what's called candy cigarettes, and they actually had a piece of paper that went over them. They were brown inside to look like cigarettes. These were slightly different. These are what were brought out to replace candy cigarettes, so they didn't look like cigarettes. They were then just plain candy sticks and can be more catered towards I used to have them. They taste like chalk. And here we have, I can't remember what they were called. They had a series where they lived on a canal boat. I can't remember the name. Someone tell me the name. Rosie and Jim. That was it. Rosie and Jim tugging along on their boat. They had a boat, and they had an adult that obviously drove the boat. And when the adult went, these two would get up to things. It was an okay series. It wasn't really one that I liked. It kind of reminded me of Tots TV. If you haven't seen Tots TV, it was good. Now, this was Budgie the helicopter. This was another one set in an airport. If you saw a previous video I did of Memory Lane, there was Jimmy the jet set, Jimbo the jet set. I think it was all Jumbo the jet set, and it was all based around an airport. And this was basically the same thing. Budgie was a helicopter. Everything else was aeroplanes and stuff like that. And it was just a kiddie series set around an airport because, you know, kids love planes and stuff. Drinking Sunny D. Ooh, apparently Sunny D has enough sugar to put you into a diabetic coma if you drink enough of it. Never really gravitated towards Sunny D. It wasn't like a big thing in the UK. Sunny D was more an American thing. I think we had Sunny D over here, but the sugar content in this, you might also just been having bags of sugar at the end of the day. Ooh, Smash Hits magazine. Do you remember this? All the latest music, all the latest goss. Look, you got Ant and Dec, the perfect host. Peter Andre Peck's win prizes. Robbie having a laugh. 911 tackle the biscuit tin. Ooh. Spice Girls. The Smash Hits Awards were an award thing, and you'd have posters in there of your favorite bands, and oh, wasn't it amazing? I don't know if Smash Hits is still a magazine. This was Ant and Dec doing Saturday morning TV with Kat Deely. I can't remember what it was called. Anyone remember? SMTV. You had Kat Deely and Ant and Dec. It was what kind of threw Ant and Dec into the public eye after they both featured in Biker Grove before they then went on to things like I'm a Celebrity and all that. It was their like starting point in like kids TV before they went to adult TV. The Three Bears counter. So these were little bears that you would have at school. They were different colors. You'd use them to count with, you know, how many, 2 bears, add 3 bears. How many bears do you have? They probably don't use them in school anymore. I mean, a lot of kids just use calculators on their phones now. I mean, who's counting bears? Whistle Pops. Now, these were amazing. They were a sweet and a musical instrument. You take the wrapper off. It'd be a lolly. At the top of it, it would have a hole. You'd blow into the hole and you'd lift the little stick up and down. It goes, woo, woo, woo. More of a whistling sort of noise. And you could annoy your parents for hours on end. Absolutely our best sweet ever. Okay, next. Oh, the Furby. Did everyone have a Furby that at one point when its batteries would, you know, suddenly fade and go, I love you? Like, these were apparently possessed by the devil and made by the devil, especially if you could get the Furby from a different country and their language through the Furby, it would sound weird. Some people said they were possessed, they were devil Furbies. Spice Girls, spice up your life. Scary, baby, sporty, posh, and Ginger Spice, the best female pop group the world has ever seen. They've broken up, they've got back together, they did a reunion tour. Obviously, the controversy where Ginger left to do her own and kind of failed. They've always been in the public eye. You grew up in a time where the Spice Girls weren't a phenomenon you did miss. Ooh, the Humble Projector. Do you remember these in class? You put your piece of paper on there, it would project it onto the wall, and you'd learn from the projector. You'd have your projector during assembly when you did the hymns, because they put the hymns on there so you could sing. Nowadays my son's school has like a computer that puts it onto the thing and everything. Oh, it's very techie now, very techie. Anyone remember a projector? I think think my primary school still uses a projector. Tamagotchis or Tamagotchis, these things were the biggest craze I think I've ever seen in a toy. These little Tamagotchis, you kept a pet. You fed it, you watered it, you looked after it. People even married their Tamagotchis. These became the most biggest addictive thing I've seen before computer gaming became addictive. These were the most addictive thing, probably more addictive than drugs at that point. You know, people would spend hours awake. They'd take days off work because they didn't want it to die. It was crazy. Now, marbles were a big thing as well. Okay, probably not nowadays. You give a kid a marble and they'd probably laugh and go, what the hell? But there were marble tournaments. There were world championships for marbles. We even sell marbles still at the works. Where I work, we still sell bags of marbles and they still sell even to this day. But you give a kid a bag of marbles nowadays and they'd look at you like, what on earth is this? And here is another classic. Casper the Friendly Ghost. Do you remember Casper the film? Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the film. I know you're going to say, like, what? Yeah, not a fan of Casper, if I'm really honest. It's an okay film, but it's not something I would like constantly like take out to rewatch at Halloween or anything. Oh, this was kind of fun. I think it was called, was it Play Days or Play Bus? Someone remind me. It was either Play Days or Play Bus. And you get this talking bird, you get this cat, and they'd have adventures. I think it was called Play Bus. Let me just check. Was it Play Bus? Play Days. Play Days? Yeah, Play Days. Play Bus? Play Days. Yeah. Play Days, Play Bus. And it was a British TV program where you had this bird, you had this cat, they had adventures again. Yeah, I think it was called Play Bus or Play Days. The Rainbow Fish. Not remembering it. If I'm honest, anyone comment down below. The Rainbow Fish. Pogs. Oh my God. Does anyone remember Pogs? Oh, Pogs was an amazing thing. You get these Pogs and you'd push it onto the end of the Pog and it would flip. And if it flipped on one side, you won it. If it didn't flip on it, you didn't win it. You had Super Pogs, glow-in-the-dark Pogs. These were hours of fun. If you can find Pogs today, they're still worth quite a bit. If you can get them in like mint condition. What's this? Were these like water? I think they were called water beads. They were like little things full of like water or like a jelly substance, but you'd pop them so easily. I can't remember what they were called. Anyone in the chat? No. But these were like beads and they were squishy, but they pop so easily. And honestly, I think that kind of thing's a hazard. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So this was Sabrina. It was a coming of age story where she then got her witching powers. This was her two aunts because her mum was a witch and had gone off. And then you get Salem. I think it was Salem the cat. A very typical witch name for a cat. I think he was called Salem, who was a man trapped in a cat's body. It's a very, very interesting story. And then Sabrina the Teenage Witch TV series. Next you have, was this the Nintendo 64? Oh, game cartridges that looked like this. Do you remember this? Game cartridge. Oh my God, look at the water damage. Game cartridges. That was this Nintendo 64. But you'd put the cartridge, instead of having it like a disc where you'd insert it, you'd have the game and you'd stick the disc in the top. I know it sounds totally crazy, and it is. But these were what used to be games. They used to come in the world's biggest boxes. And playing things like Mario Kart, hours of fun. Now this was alien in jelly. So you got a little alien capsule, and then inside you get this wibbly wobbly little alien. That's literally all it was. It was slime and an alien. But people loved these little things. I don't know why. It smelled, it was sticky, it was ooey, but people went crazy for them. Any craze that comes and go. Gladiators. Oh my God. Reliving the 90s. Gladiators was a competition for adults, and you'd have these people who were the gladiators, and they would do competitions against normal people with like jabby sticks, and they had an obstacle course, and the idea was to beat the gladiator. And this was called Wolf. And then you had Jet, and Jet was the female one that everyone aspired to. Wolfman was the scary dude who was always sent off, always told off by the referee. They tried to revamp the Gladiators and do a new series, but it just didn't take. Ooh, who remembers blow up chairs through the 80s and 90s? Did you have a fashionable bedroom if you did not have a blow up chair in your house made of this nasty plastic that was split? In the summer, it was too hot to sit on. Ooh. Okay. Do you remember these butterfly clips? These were all the rage in the 80s and 90s. These little butterfly clips here, you'd put them in your hair all over. You'd spend hours getting these damn clips to just stay in your hair. I think they were called butterfly clips. They were like the most tacky thing to come out of the 80s. I think it was the 80s/early 90s. It wasn't my type of thing to wear. Funhouse, we discussed Funhouse in a previous video on Memory Lane. That Funhouse, you had the go-karts, you had messy time, you had kids competing, you had the two twins, you had Pat Sharp. It was a hoot. If you haven't seen Funhouse, go on YouTube and watch an episode. Ooh, Crazy Rap, the Babblers Crazy Rap, where you get this torture device to braid your hair, look. Ooh, and the amount of people that got their hair caught or probably tore their hair out. I didn't trust this type of apparatus back then to even touch my locks, and I have hair that could be braided. So this was Animals of Farthingwood. So it kind of reminded me, like someone said over here, of Watership Down. And it was an episode about, it was a TV series about the humans trying to invade on the land of these animals. And they were always trying to get them to stop. But you'd have all these talking animals, and they would, it was really cool. It was trying to preserve, you know, the land they live in. So it was kind of like a Watership Down kind of story where they were trying to destroy the land. Next, you have Ms. Magazine. Oh my God. If you weren't a teenager of the like 90s and you didn't have this magazine in your bedroom, you were out of the loop on whether Britney fancied one of the other boy bands. I mean, Ms. Magazine, smash hits. I used to get these quite a lot. I don't know if you could still get Ms. Magazines anymore, or smash hits. I obviously haven't been to look at kids stuff in a while. I can't remember what this was. I recognize the pattern. Does anyone say in the chat what it was? Because I don't remember it. No, I wish they said what it was, but this was popular. I just can't remember what it is. Someone let me know. Bubble bags. Oh my God. You were not fashionable in the 90s if you did not have this bubble bag. These were everywhere. Even I owned a bubble bag. I confess, I admit, I had a clear grey bubble bag, and I used to take this everywhere with me. They were the fashion accessory of the 90s. Everyone had a bubble bag. Yo-yos, trick yo-yos. These yo-yos were super advanced. They lit up. You'd spend hours trying to walk the dog and do these fancy tricks, and everyone and their aunt had a yo-yo. I mean, everybody. Next, these were the sisters. I can't remember what they were called, but they had their own TV series. I can't remember what it was called. They had a TV series where they'd get into trouble, or they'd switch like in class and everything. I can't remember what it was called. Recess. Does everybody remember Recess? This was about a bunch of school kids that again got up to mischief. And it was produced by Disney. It was one of Disney's, I want to say, weirder cartoons series. It doesn't appeal to everybody, but then again, Disney doesn't appeal to everybody. Calypso shots. These were a lolly, but in ball form. It was different. When these came out, they were again a big craze because everyone wants the new thing when it comes to ice cream. And it's a hard thing to do something different with ice creams and lollies. There's only so many ways you can ice cream and a lolly. And when these came out, these little balls of Calypso Shot Joy, they were really nice. You had strawberry and lemon, and then when there was another one, and they were really popular. Next, you had Steps. So you had Claire, Faye, Lisa, and you never remembered the boy's name. I think it was Lee, Claire, Faye, Lee, and someone else. They were really popular back in the day. And they just fell out of favor. Like everything when it comes to the music world, things are hit and miss throughout the years. So that was some of that. There is more, but I don't want this video to run for too long. If you want to like and subscribe and give us a big thumbs up, that would be amazing. Comment down below things you remember from the 80s and 90s that people nowadays would either be shocked by or didn't like, or is there something from the 80s or 90s you think should come back? You know, anything that you think should be revived. I mean, things do come back into fashion over time. They have come and gone. If you want to like, subscribe, give us a big thumbs up. Comment down below, like I said, anything you would bring back from the 80s or 90s. It was the year I was born, 1984. I am an 80s child. If you want to help the channel out, a PayPal, Super Chat, do thanks, or become a member, it all goes back into my channel, and I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.